search. We can't help it. A central element of the human future lies far beyond the Earth. Some cosmic purpose, then let us find ourselves a worthy goal.
You're looking at live footage of an Ariane 5 rocket in Kourou, French Guiana. At the very top of that extraordinary machine, one of the largest rockets in the world, we find the most ambitious space observatory ever built, the James Webb Space Telescope. And today is launch day. From all of the people all around the world working on today's launch, good morning, bonjour, buenos dias. This is live coverage of the historic launch of the James Webb Space Telescope. I'm Michelle Thaler, speaking to you from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. And I am very excited to be with you today. Today, the James Webb Space Telescope begins its journey to explore the edge of our observable universe, and its journey into history as well. This launch has been years in the making, and the world has turned out to watch. We'll have a lot to discuss both before and after launch, but let me set the scene for what's going on around us. While I'll be anchoring coverage from here at NASA Goddard, the big stuff happens today here, at the Centre Spatial Guyanais, the Guyana Space Center in French Guiana. This is the main launch site for the European Space Agency, a close partner in this once-in-a-generation mission, and the home of all Ariane launches. Katie Haswell is there at the launch facility and joins me now live via satellite. Okay, how are things in Kourou, Katie?
Michelle, things are looking really good. The boards are green, the mission controllers are focusing hard, we are go for launch. We've had our eye on the weather the last couple of days. The weather's been a little bit inclement, so we're keeping an eye on that. But otherwise, everything's looking absolutely great. And I have to tell you, there is just such a buzz of excitement here in the Mission Control Center. It's a remarkable feeling. Right now, we're topping up the tanks on the upper stage of the vehicle. So we've got two great big arms called cryogenic arms, and they clamp onto the upper stage, and they pump in the cryogenic fuel, which has to be kept very, very cold. So it has to be topped up right until the last minute because it can evaporate. You'll see those arms kind of falling away just before launch in the last couple of seconds. So up here in the Sky booth in the Mission Control Center, we have NASA's Rob Navius and the European Space Agency's Luce Fabregat. They're standing by. Hi guys, standing by to take on the commentary when we get to about 15 minutes to launch. But right now, Michelle, all the boards are green. We'll go for launch. Back to you, Michelle.
We'll be coming back to Katie for the final phases of the countdown in just a little bit. So, I'm an astronomer, and this launch is a huge deal for me. I am personally really, really excited. But why is this such a big event for everyone? The Webb telescope is nothing less than humanity's next effort to move closer to understanding some of the biggest questions about the origin of our universe. And it's not just the origins of distant stars and galaxies, but it's the story of us, you and me, how we got here. And speaking of questions, we'd like to include yours in this historic event. On whatever platform you're watching our coverage, drop your questions with the hashtag AskNASA. Later in the broadcast, we'll answer some of them live on air. It can't be said enough that this is a mission for anyone who's ever looked up at the night sky and wonder. People all over the world are sending in their best wishes for the success of Webb, and let's look at some of them now.
launch pad will shut down and separate at the 2-minute 21-second mark into the flight, followed a minute and 5 seconds after that by fairing jettison. That will expose the James Webb Space Telescope to the environment of flight for the first time. The main stage separation, or the first stage separation, comes at the 8-minute 47-second mark into the flight, and that will be about a 16-minute burn of that upper stage engine. It will cut off at about 24 minutes 51 seconds into the flight, and then we'll go into a coast phase of about 2.5 minutes to allow any oscillations to
Pour moins 1 minute. Top, à 0 moins 1 minute.
Thumbs up from Jean-Luc Voyer. All systems are go. We're inside a minute now, T-minus 50 seconds and counting. As you heard earlier, the Vulcan 2 engine will ignite. Turbo pumps will come up to flight speed for 7 seconds, and the command will be issued to ignite the solid rocket boosters. The James Webb Space Telescope will be on its way. T-minus 30 seconds and counting. For terminal count.
À tous de DDO, attention pour les décomptes finales. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, unité, top.
And we have engine start. And
Allumage
liftoff.
UAP, décollage.
Decollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe. Punching a hole through the clouds, 20 seconds into the flight. Good pitch program reported.
Trajectoire est nominale.
Vehicle performance is nominal. The Ariane 5 rocket continues to fly uphill in nominal fashion.
We can hear the noise and feel the vibrations here. You're right, Rob. Yeah, impressive.
13 kilometers in altitude, 7 kilometers downrange, traveling about 0.6 kilometers per second.
Et les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
The trajectory reported to be nominal by Jean-Luc Voyer, the range operations manager. You can see at the bottom of your screen, the yellow line is the trajectory plot, perfectly overlaid over the green line, which was the pre-launch trajectory. 1 minute, 41 seconds into the flight, about 40 seconds away from shutdown of the solid rocket boosters.
Extinction de l'EPC. Opération EPC.
And we have main stage shutdown and separation confirmed here in the Mission Control Center, and the ignition of that upper
Allumage de
stage.
l'ESC.
And Raphael Chevrier down in the fishbowl. So far, so good.
Yes, Rob, we have the confirmation of the separation of the main stage and the ignition of the
trajectoire
upper
est nominale.
stage. The trajectory is perfectly nominal. This is a very important moment for us because it's always a challenge to switch on a cryogenic engine in space condition, and we are now at 220 kilometers of altitude. Speed is a bit more than 7 kilometers per second. As we enter now the second stage of the second phase of the flight, the upper stage is going to power for
Pilotage est calme.
about 16 minutes to place Webb on its transfer orbit, and right now
Stage, and then the upper stage will leave the trajectory of the telescope and makes a special maneuver to pass the telescope and heads towards a liberation orbit and leaves the telescope on its orbit without any risk of collision and without any risk of pollution towards the telescope.
And we're about 17 seconds away from Webb separation.
Séparation Webb Space Telescope. Go Webb!
We do have confirmation of observatory separation.